Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Thursday, and we're here. I've got Brandon with me. John is not here. He's busy at home making a video. Got a little scheduling conflict going on, so that's where he's at. Maybe he'll join us in chat, maybe not. Brandon, how you doing?
Pretty well. It's Thursday.
It's Thursday.
You know? Can't complain.
How you been since we saw you last?
Not too bad at all.
Not good.
You know?
Not good. We got M. Williams in the chat. We got Jamie in the chat. Thank you both for being there. I don't know what to say. We missed last week because we were working on a video, and we decided to get the video out, and we got the video out instead. So I think you're first because I'm opening. Let's get to it, shall we?
All right.
All right, go for it.
All right. So Amazon came out with their new in-garage delivery. This is part of Amazon Key. So if you weren't aware of what Amazon Key was a service that you could hook up a smart lock to your house, and Amazon would go and drop your packages in your house for you.
Yeah, I remember that. Right. If you had a smart door lock, right?
If you smart door. If you're like me, you feel pretty creeped out.
Strangers coming in your
I don't
house?
want a stranger to hop in my house. But
Suburban Barbecue, thanks for joining us, man.
I don't know about you. So they after they initially did it, they kind of realized that no one was comfortable with a random stranger just popping up in their house, dropping packages while they weren't there. So they've done things like Amazon Car, which is you can tell them where your car is, and they'll come and
pop
drop
your
it in the
trunk,
back of your car,
which is
and
creepier.
This is the next expansion. So if we look here, you have to have a MyQ garage door opener.
I have that.
But they will come and they'll open your garage and they'll put your package in there and they'll leave, hopefully without taking anything out of your garage. To stop that, as the other picture showed, you can have a camera. But this is the whole big thing because, you know, now that we're in the COVID times, we have contactless delivery. People are very worried about porch pirates since that's the new fad to do, is to run around people's neighborhoods and take stuff. So in 4,000 cities across the U.S. and coming to Amazon Prime members, you can have the pleasure of a Amazon employee dropping something randomly in your garage.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. However, due to COVID times, many of us are working from home. And isn't package delivery always been contactless? It's like drop on the door, press the doorbell, and then they go.
Yeah, and I think it's the big thing of oh, well, now they can open your garage and close your garage. And if the porch pirate, drives on by, not going to be a huge issue. But I don't know. I wouldn't sign up for the service in general. I don't want someone to open my garage. I mean, you have some relatively nice stuff downstairs.
Sure.
I mean, are you gonna, if you keep your car in there, are you gonna leave it open? I mean, there's a camera if you buy that.
I get the feeling that it feels icky to you. Whereas to me, I'm like, oh, you put a camera up. We know who the delivery dude is because he works for Amazon. If you see him walk in and walk out with, I don't know, a half-used can of paint, because I don't know what else people have in their garage, but crap, right?
Yeah.
You'd be like, okay, that's Bob. He's clearly a kleptomaniac, and I mean, he's dropping off my package. So he could just steal my package, right?
He'll drop your 3090 off, but take your BMW out for a ride. It's a good trade.
Suburban Barbecue says he doesn't let anybody in his garage, or doesn't want anyone in his garage. And I mean, that's fair. Would you let him into your house? Would you let him to have his little delivery phone and open the door?
They had a thing where it was like a box they gave you. So you buy this little box, and it was like a big bench you sat on essentially, but it opened up and they put your packages in there, and then they locked and closed. And I was like, that's the perfect level of
that seems
outside.
Is it like orange, like Amazon orange color?
No. It actually looked like they had to make it kind of tasteful, but it's still cheap. But I mean, do you guys use it? Does anyone actually use Amazon Key at all?
No,
I didn't even know it was a thing that was still active. I thought it was just something they were trying.
I think this is a perfect example where we could have an entirely separate YouTube channel where we just order things and set the garage up to be messed up. So when the guy's just do, and the garage door opens up, and someone could be in a GIMP outfit and run out of the garage door screaming out, ooh, just in underwear and just go, and then record the delivery guy.
Someone sitting there is Friday the 13th, the hockey mask on, the machete,
you're ready to deliver the killing blow when the door opens and just drops it.
And my other half is, if you look at the picture here, that garage is really clean. Whose garage is like that? I don't know. I got some stuff in my garage, but it ain't clean.
Well, mine is. No, mine's not clean. I don't know. But I think this is a great. We should. Although screwing with people is great, but screwing with people when you're the guy getting screwed with is not so great. I still would probably do it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm telling you, this is the thing. Suburban Barbecue's down for it, so I think we're Yeah. The next two guys, tech channel has nothing to do with technology. Just screwing with delivery guys. Well, just that's what we'll name the channel is screwing with delivery guys.
Yeah, I don't think they'd put up with that.
Yeah. Eventually, they'll just stop delivering it, or they'll like break my package, throw it in the garage.
It's like the Domino's list. Like there's a list. If you don't pay your Domino's driver, you get on a list that they won't deliver to you. You have to go pick up your pizzas.
It's like a no-fly zone for Domino's delivery.
The no-fly zone. You'll be on UPS's or Amazon's no-fly list. They won't come to you anymore.
I don't know. I think it's an interesting idea, but we do live in interesting times, so I mean
that's fair.
All right, so moving on. Now we get to talk about the big stuff. The stuff that happened earlier in the week. I know that there's probably not a whole lot of people in this that are really super interested, but I am a Mac user.
I think M. Williams is a Mac user.
Yeah, it's true.
Like it's all about the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, that's right. I know that he hates Androids. He's not an Android user. He's only into Apple devices. So let's get to it. Let's what you're looking at there. These are all pictures from Apple, but Apple had its One More Thing event, which was like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And they officially brought to light their new ARM CPU, or a SoC, or system on chip, and it's called the M1. That's what it looks like. So that's a picture of it.
What does the M stand for?
Mucho.
Mucho. I've heard Mac. I've heard Mucho.
What do you guys? What do you think? What does the M stand for? Mega. It's the Apple Mega One.
Yeah, like
it's a Mega One chip.
The magnificent one. Like, what are we?
And William says over his cold dead body.
Yeah, I thought that would be the answer.
I have the thing they have. Let's talk about this chip. So it is an 8-core SoC, or system on chip. For people who don't know what a SoC is basically a piece of silicon that is the actual processor, and then other components that are stacked on it next to it. So to an individual, it looks like one chip, but it actually has discrete units of either processing or something on it. And we'll talk about what those some things are. So the M1 is an 8-core ARM processor that is built by Apple. It has 4 high-performance cores and 4 what do they call them? They call them efficient cores.
Yeah.
And the efficient cores, they claim they use 1/10 of the power of one of the high-performance cores. Super power sippy, right? Sipping.
Yeah. Sippy, yeah.
Sippy, those are the 4 sippy cores.
Yeah.
Can we call them that? Trademark. Ting. And the idea behind this concept, this design concept, is when you need the high performance, you kick on the juice and use those high performance cores. When you're browsing the interwebs and you're not needing anything that really needs a lot of performance, you use those efficiency cores, efficient cores. It's an interesting design. I'm actually kind of surprised that doesn't exist in general CPU.
Well, it's kind of an ARM thing. So AMD kind of did it with their chiplet design in when they went Zen and Zen 2, but it wasn't the same big small. Big small is very much an ARM thing to the RISC-V instructions and stuff like that. So,
and no, M. Williams, it's not less power. It is probably a lot more expensive. These are the things that are going in the next Apple products. 3 of them actually. 3 of them were announced. We'll get to that. What else? This chip is 5 nanometer. Take that, AMD. Like, remember, we're like 7 nanometer. Take that, Intel. No, like 5 nanometer. Take that, everybody else. The smaller lithography, or basically the smaller the die size is, the far more energy efficient it is, right? So it takes less power to do the same amount of stuff because you basically your electrons don't have to go as far. I mean, there's tons of reasons why the smaller the lithography is, the more efficient and more powerful it can be, right? You can get more stuff in a smaller package. They claim, as you see, there's 16 billion transistors. That's and it's got they're really proud of my watch.
What you said.
Thank you, Apple. See, they're listening. I'm gonna take this off so it doesn't talk anymore. All right. It has a 16-core neural engine, which they didn't really talk about as much. They're like, it's gonna do some really cool neural engine stuff, and I'm like, okay, it's to be determined. Right?
I got a lot of feelings for that because if you look later in the presentation, they go, we're comparing it to the best-in-class Windows laptop. But they never really talk about what the specs of a best-in-class Windows laptop is.
Sure, and there's no neural processing engine in an x86 CPU.
Yeah, I feel like you're comparing apples and oranges when you do ARM and,
This guy just said,
Oh, sorry, I didn't think about that one, but that is right. But yeah, I mean, it's just, they were giving a lot of really cool stats, but not really good comparisons to them. And I was that made me kind of worried about it.
So let's talk about the 3
Okay.
first products to contain this M1 CPU. M1. Yeah, I'd make sure you said it right. Let's talk about the MacBook Air. That was the first showing that they did. They claim to have 2 times the performance over traditional Intel chips that are in the existing MacBook Airs now. Right? So they're claiming that it uses less power and it's more efficient. Matter of fact, I think I have a picture. That's this.
That's the cores. Yeah.
That was this was their example of like power consumption compared. Like they're hitting 10 watts and doing more performance than Intel in their MacBook Airs.
Yeah, and I as someone who's a data nerd, I don't like that graph. It doesn't have any sort of, you know, the x-axis isn't telling me what we're actually measuring, neither is the y. What is the latest PC laptop chip?
This is marketing.
It's all marketing.
I'm sure it's backed up by data that they have found, but it's it's always marketing, right? Same thing with AMD when they do their Ryzen events or Intel or Nvidia. It's always like, look at this, we did this thing. Like, okay, well, can we see better?
Like, yeah, what is this thing?
But let's talk about more about this. So they're claiming... I take this back. So I need to recount what I said. So the M1 delivers 2 times the performance of a traditional x86 chip in the same thermal envelope as the MacBook Air.
Okay.
All right. So it means that they get more power at the same thermal output, and that's where that comes into play. They claim that that this new generation is 9 times faster than the current MacBook Air. Right. There's no fan in it. They were also keen to say like it doesn't require fan cooling. But okay, neither does an iPhone.
Well, yeah, that's been their pipe dream for like ever is a Mac without fans, right?
Well, this only for this. 15 hours of wireless web surfing, compared to the 11 hours that you get with the current MacBook Air. 18 hours of video playback compared to the 12 hours, and that's why is it more for watching video when you think video is more intensive? It's because they're on this M1 chip. There's actual decoding hardware that offloads the effort to do that and makes it easier and less energy necessary to.
Yeah, and your Wi-Fi chip's not running, right? So.
Well, I mean, you're probably streaming YouTube or something like that, but.
I don't know how they measured it, right?
Right, exactly. You don't know, and it starts at $999 and ships on the 17th of this month. By the way, $1,000. Does
that feel steep to you?
No, it doesn't feel steep.
Okay.
Supermarket said, and so Apple's making their own Hackintosh. Well. I mean,
they're preventing it.
It's like the reverse of it if you think about it, because I mean, and we'll talk about a feature that these have, because you're wondering, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean for like my Intel Mac here that's running? I mean, what about all the pieces of software that are compiled to run on Intel, right? And the answer is they've got an answer for that, and that's their Rosetta 2. It's essentially doing x86 virtualization in real time. Which cool, that's awesome. Let's talk about the MacBook Air. I want to get through these apps or these. Okay. So, excuse me, not MacBook Air. Let's talk about the MacBook Pro. They announced that one. Only the 13-inch version of it. They claim is 2.8 times faster than the existing MacBook Pro 13-inch. Which one? There's different CPU options. 18 hours of web surfing, 20 hours of. I feel like we're talking about telephones. Like these were the numbers that we would talk about. We were talking about how long your cell phone would last.
Yeah.
Like how much talk time do you have? How much standby time do you have? And I was like, how much internet browsing time can you have? It has a fan, so it obviously is using more power. It starts at basically $1,300, $1,299 for 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM, or $1,499 for 512 gigs of storage. Also available on the 17th. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are ever considering buying a Mac product, do not ever buy the 256 gig model. I'm telling you, as a personal experience, you will run out of space so fast, and you will hate the product, even though it's your fault for not buying the larger thing. You can't upgrade it because everything is solid state. It's the same as basically every laptop these days. That's side note. And last, a Mac Mini running an M1. It is 60% more efficient and 3 times faster than the 2018 Mac Mini, because that was the last Mac Mini they released. Comes in 256 gig at 8 gigs of RAM, or for $699, $700, or 512 gigs, or 512 gigs of storage for $899. Again, it's probably all solid state inside. You're not going to be able to put your own SSD in it, which is a bummer. And they claim that the M1 has, boy, I'm just kind of digging through this. They claim the M1 has better embedded or integrated GPU performance than what's in the market, which is not saying much, considering Intel's integrated GPU or iGPU has always just been, you need a graphics card, so we're going to give it to you. Right? When they bought that company and integrated graphics into the die of the CPU, that's what it's for. I mean, AMD does the same thing too, right? They've got their Radeon on.
Yeah, they got their APUs that they use, same thing, right?
What else? It's got built-in Thunderbolt 4, PCIe Gen 4, and NVMe support. So they've done that. You can run. If you want to know the state of where we're going, you can natively run iOS and iPad OS apps in Big Sur. That's the next generation. So when you get this Mac, you'll be able to you'll play Matchington Mansion on your computer that you can play on your phone. I don't play it. I play it a little bit.
You can school the noobs with your mouse and keyboard now in mobile.
Right. Mobile PUBG. Look how good I am. And other interesting things that I saw. So this M1 equipped Macs do not support external GPUs.
Yeah, that was a letdown.
But there's a lot of people saying, well, not a lot of people are using it. But if you bought a MacBook Air and you wanted to play a real video game, you could, right? Because you had Thunderbolt, you could do that. And for some reason, it only supports a maximum of 16 gigs of RAM on that chip.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because like the reason they aren't supporting the GPU either, it's making me feel like there's some talking to the CPU that's an issue. Like there aren't enough PCIe lanes, which is why
it supports Thunderbolt 4, so it can do 10 gig.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go look at the Mac Mini, even though it has plenty of room for an SSD, even a 2.5-inch one, it's not there.
Right.
It's just soldered onto everything. So it's making me think that I/O might be kind of a limitation of their SoC right now.
That's not that's not kind of a far stretch considering 16 gigs. Like Apple has went into very lengthy discussion in this presentation about how they have completely redesigned all of their first-party apps to work on the M1, right? And they were talking about how Final Cut Pro, for example, which is what I use on the Mac here, is 6 times faster than the Intel than when running on M1 versus the Intel.
Yeah.
Which if you own the software and you design the chip, you could make anything. Optimized for, right? So there's definitely a benefit. You can see why Apple would want to do that. And until all the other companies like Adobe come around and start making native M1 stuff, you've got the Rosetta 2.
Speaking of that, Adobe said they're not going to be Photoshop's not going to be ready till 2021 earliest.
But you can run the Intel version of it.
You can, and I think that's where this whole ARM thing and the Apple Silicon thing hinges on. If they can't emulate x86 apps, this is over. No one will pick it up, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get enough buy-in from developers. I mean, it's something to see, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that they have a fervent user base that will buy them, right? And so it will carry them through until it happens. How long does it take? I don't know. Apple is still making Intel Macs. They're still making Intel MacBook Pros. They're still making Mac Pros that are Intel. They're making iMacs that are Intel. They didn't stop. They didn't go, okay, we're just going to stop making everything else. No, they're corporations that use Macs, and they're worried about this whole switch and what it means for the business. And I think that in Apple's case, they're like, well, we'll go ahead and we'll continue to make the Intel just to keep you happy. And we'll work you into the M1 ecosystem. But so I don't know. It was fascinating to watch. As always, Apple's presentations are like watching Hollywood high budget productions.
Yeah,
they're flying through the campus and they fly up through that little thing and then they fly across and it's like, geez, man. They probably filmed that like a month in advance, and then all of the CG that went into making it into a Hollywood-esque production had to go in next, and then they just press play.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, they can't give up on Intel. They just created these $50,000 Mac Pros that the manufacturing cost of them has to be so high they can't just give up on.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
So
you can't give up on those cheese graters. The most powerful computer ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was quite a bit. I apologize for digging through it so quickly, but it's a new era for Mac. I mean, this is the third architecture change for them.
Yeah.
Right? Started with the Motorola's, moved over to Intel, now moving on to their own silicon. What's next?
Yeah, I remember having a Motorola Sliver, and it was the first thing to support iTunes on a phone. Before even iPhone was like a twinkle in Steve Jobs' eye, that was the thing, and it wasn't great.
It was,
but we're a long way away from that now, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. So moving on, Brandon, you are next.
Yeah. So I think the Xbox Series X might have an issue. It's a little smoking. Kind of a lot of smoke, actually, if you look at it.
It's definitely smoking.
So much smoke that the engineers at Microsoft had to take a look at it. If you've ever worked with electronics, this is very much not the magic smoke that gets released when you burn something.
No.
This video became viral of a smoking Xbox, and people were talking about overheating issues and all sorts of stuff. And it finally got to the point that Xbox support on Twitter had to come out and say, guys, this is not a smoking Xbox. This is someone who ran a vape pen through their Xbox Series X. And they advised people, and I quote, we can't believe we have to say this, but please do not blow vape smoke into your Xbox Series X.
How much does that thing cost? It's like $500, right?
It's $500. Vape pen is not included.
That's a bummer. Maybe they should
But-
work that in as some sort of like.
But yeah, I just thought it was kind of
synergistic
a
thing.
crazy thing because the design is really cool and set up for awesome airflow and all that. And someone was just, took a fat rip as they got out of their Subaru and just sent it right into the Xbox.
Don't you own a Subaru? You own a Subaru?
I know what I am.
I know what I am. It makes a very nice chimney stack, doesn't it?
It does.
It's they just came out. They're all sold out.
Yeah.
Why would you? I mean,
because
what is the guys? What is their motivation for doing something so dumb?
I think just thousands of views.
Just internet points,
or maybe it's just an airflow test.
It's quite an airflow
at the end of the day, that's what it could be. But
I just don't.
Just a little internet humor to even corporations have to advise their own users not to do things that you didn't think they would ever do.
Well, you remember, and this reminds me, when Netflix had that movie. What was it called? Where it had Sandra Bullock and she had to wear a blindfold.
Oh, was it Bird?
Bird Box or something.
Bird Box,
right?
Yeah.
And so she had to wear a blindfold because if she opened her eyes, then she would see some sort of monster, which would make her either crazy or kill herself. It was an interesting plot. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed it. Whatever. But then they had to officially say to the world over their Twitter, please don't do the Bird Box challenge. Don't go and put a blindfold on yourself and walk around in public.
Well,
I mean.
Yeah.
There are subreddits full of people like this, and it's just the dumbest.
Maybe it's a human thing because I remember the CDC or someone had to advise people not to do the cinnamon challenge, just where you take a bunch of cinnamon and then try to chug a gallon of milk. And,
oh yes.
I think it just might be a Darwinism's in play right now. And
human beings trying to kill themselves as best they can, or brand new Xbox Series X's, which is nuts. By the way, they're all sold out. I know I said that. And so are the PlayStation 4s, but we knew that was going to happen.
Well, speaking of things that are sold out,
what?
Nvidia, RTX.
That's right. Let's. Yeah. Oh my gosh! Suburban Barbecue said he saw someone doing a cooking video blindfolded. How did it end? Hopefully with severe burns.
Hopefully, I think we will. Hopefully,
I don't know. I don't want to sound like super callous, but people who do dumb stuff there's a subreddit that I enjoy. It's called "Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes." Right?
Yeah.
And that's just like this. Do this dumb thing, which is clearly dumb, and something bad is going to happen to you, and it's clearly your fault. Moving on. Okay, so did you know that there are numerous rumors now that are getting even more fundamentally backed up that Nvidia is about to release an RTX 3080 Ti?
I mean, we kind of guessed it, right?
In January.
I haven't got any of the other ones though.
Yeah, where's your 3070, 3080, 3090?
I mean, are we going to be at the 4000 series before the rest of the 3070s actually get to market?
Man.
Everything's empty, nothing,
right?
Everything. They're not taking orders. It's
right.
It's interesting.
You have a good point. Nvidia could really, if you think about it, they could just go ahead and announce any number of products, and it wouldn't matter. Nvidia's human teleportation. And then they're like, oh wait, it's on back order. I'm sorry. We're having chip issues at the foundry. Our yields are really low, so we can't teleport you yet. So I'm sorry, you'll have to wait. Limited edition of 2. Yeah. Suburban Barbecue's right. So all of this might be in a rush because they are maybe a little worried about AMD's Radeon, right? The RX 6900 XT, which so far everything is pointing to the release of this is about trying to counteract the 6900 XT. Not the 6800 XT, but the 6900 XT.
Yeah.
And so the most recent, of these leaks comes from a Hong Kong-based hardware site called HK. I don't know. It's called HKEPC. I've never been there. But there are. I mean, this is getting everywhere on the net, and these guys they're claiming both a release date, which is January, and they're claiming a price, which is $1,000, $999, and they're claiming that Nvidia is doing this specifically because they're concerned about the RX 6900 XT.
Well, I think we knew that though. That was the whole reason they pushed back their 3070 launch, right? Was that they could like try to steal some media from AMD.
I thought they pushed it back because they knew they had such bad yields that they didn't want to have, because they had such a bad media nightmare because of the 3800 release, right? Or excuse me, the 3000, excuse me, the 3080s. And so they even said, hey, we're going to go ahead and delay just a little bit so we can just get a little bit more stock and maybe you'll get one. Lies, but it still was an abject failure by all intents and purposes. And so, yeah, I mean, they're also claiming, they also had information, Brandon, believe it or not, where they're claiming that this 3080 Ti is going to have 20 gigs of RAM. So I mean, these are all rumors. Everybody knows that. We're just talking about, we're just musing about rumors here. But if that's the case, I mean, that clearly answers because the RX has 16 gigs. All of the RX GPUs have 16 gigs of RAM. They all did, right? Whether it's 1600, 600 XT, or 6900, all had 16 gigs. And the 3080 has, as you know, 10 gigs. So we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, and maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, audience, does anyone actually have games that use 16 gigs of VRAM? I've never hit a game. I've gotten games that have gotten 8 or 10.
Really?
But I mean, if I'm cranking everything, maybe RTX, sends you over that boundary, but like 20 gigs just feels like a lot. But I mean, hey, who knows how much this is? I mean, expected to be around $1,000, which would make it, I guess, a little more than the. Okay, so put it right on
it
par.
puts it on the
not quite a 3090, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it would be $500 less than the Founders Editions of the 3090. Right?
Yeah.
Not the ones made by the other ODMs, but I don't know. It was interesting enough that I wanted to talk about it because I mean, who knows? And M. Williams says $20 says Cyberpunk will use it all if it ever comes out.
That's a solid point.
If you don't have do you need the RAM if you don't have Cyberpunk? That's all I'm saying.
Solid point.
That's all I'm saying. I don't have a picture for that because, I mean, there's nothing to show. But I did get Jensen Huang on there because I really like that picture. We made that, and he's just so humbly holding his 3090.
Yeah.
Side note, we got a 3090 and lucked out. Just happened to go to Best Buy, and it was there. It was nuts. Oh, can I tell you about that process?
Sure.
So I go there because every day it's become my ritual to try to get a 30 series graphics card for a number of reasons. We want a 3090 for the channel because we're building a new machine. Spoiler alert, for that's coming up. It's a video for John, like a big honkin' editing machine. But I go every single day. It's my ritual. Wake up, eat breakfast, take a shower, get ready to go to work, and then open up 4 tabs for 3070, 3080, 3090, and for a AMD Ryzen 9 5950X.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, that's it. Right. It's like I start my browser and poof, they are. So I popped it. Like I did, sit down, pop up the browser, and I went to the 3090 tab first, clicked on it, and there was a blue button to buy. And I was like, no, this is a mistake. Yeah. This is a mistake, but I'm going to click it. Oh, look at that. Thank you. $3. That's awesome. Now it's even cheaper.
I love it, yeah.
Thank you, Em Williams. Appreciate it. So the button is blue. I pressed the button, and I'm like, it popped in the next screen. And the next screen popped up, and it had a little thing at the top saying, you have to wait to press the button again. And it's a random timer. So I couldn't press the button again when I clicked it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm waiting, and I keep waiting. And then it goes green. I press it again. And then another pop-up came up and said, you have to immediately check out, because if you're not at the checkout screen, we can take it from your cart. This is on Best Buy. I'm like, I went straight. Dude, I just... lost it, went straight to the buy it now, and I'm like, credit card information, and then I transposed some numbers in my credit card. It came back and said, sorry, that's not right. I'm like, oh Jesus, like freaking out. I need this. I need to get it now. Someone else is gonna take it from me. Finally get it, and I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm telling myself, this is all a lie. It's all this is gonna fail. I'm gonna feel like my heart is pounding. I'm like, I'm having heart palpitations. Like this is it. I'm there. I press the final buy it button, and it says, thank you, thank you for your order. And I'm like, this is not real. It was raining in Oregon. It was raining that day, and all of a sudden there was like this beam of light that came down, the clouds parted, and it was just like, oh, there were like doves flying, and there was a rainbow, there's a rainbow outside. Not really. It was still raining outside, but in my head it was that way. I was hallucinating from all the stress.
Yeah, this is your Black Friday. You know, you don't get to go in and like fist fight your next shopper, but you get to just slam that return button as fast as possible.
COVID Black Friday. You just have to press that button as hard as you can. So I still didn't believe it until I got an email. I got an email saying your order's been placed. You can expect it, and then I got on our Discord. By the way, get on our Discord, join our Discord, and I told people, I told Suburban Barbecues in our chat right now, I'm like, go, you know, and unfortunately by the time he got to a chance to look, it was gone, and I feel terrible about that. I do, like, I almost feel like I should be buying two if I can. Just crazy. Just crazy.
Yeah, it just feels like you're spinning the wheel, though. Like, Wheel of Fortune, like, maybe you'll get it, because that's what that sounds like. It's just, we're going to randomly assign you a number and pray you're not a bot.
Right. Well, the whole, like, buy it and then wait again thing, that's clearly anti-bot tactics. And thank God for that, right? I mean, come on. It should have never been allowed to happen anywhere.
I mean, I find it unacceptable that the company that provides AI doesn't know how to prevent bots from getting to their website. I just find Nvidia's handling of that was just, I can't believe it happened.
Yeah. No, right. And M. Williams is like, now you know what it felt like when he was trying to buy his OnePlus 8. I remember him telling me about that. He's just like, and then it said it wasn't there, and I went back and it's like, oh man, we live in this is the world we live in now, where we are like stressed out just trying to buy a piece of hardware. It's ridiculous. Anyway, 3090, Two Guys Tech. We have one. It's Founders Edition, but I'm happy with that. All right, Brandon. Let's talk about something completely unrelated.
So we talk about a lot of EVs on here, and I found this was really, really cool because it's moving into more the commercial sector and the business side. Can you show the video?
We can show. Let me go to the.
We'll start with the video, and then we'll go to the pictures.
Here is your video side.
And this is Ford's E-Transit. Kind of like the Mercedes Sprinter type of vans. A lot of what you see in your neighborhood when you see the Amazon vans coming around. That is what this is. And it's a fully electric thing, but it has some caveats. So the first nice thing is it's only $46,000, which for electric vehicles of that size, pretty cheap. But it only goes 128 miles.
Okay, so they're going to be charging a lot.
They're going to be charging a lot, but Ford claims they did some like real, big data telemetry, and they said that the average delivery driver only goes that far in a day before going to pick up their restocking, right?
Okay.
And
I don't know.
That's what they claimed was the appropriate thing. There are 3 different models compared to the 40 models they have with the gas version. So obviously this is a try it and see if it works out type of thing. It's got pre-collision assist.
It means it'll try to stop you.
It'll try to stop you from slamming into a child or something.
He picks a child, not another Sprinter van.
As someone who was in downtown Portland and almost got hit by a car, these things help. And then there's adaptive cruise control and a reverse braking assist, which is just like pre-braking assist, only in reverse. So if it sees a trash can in your way or something,
that's cool.
It'll stop.
I mean, can't we just call it braking assist and period? Leave it that way, or it has to be like that? I mean, because like cars, passenger cars have had that for a while, so you don't run over a bicycle or a child on a bicycle.
Yeah, but some manager was like, I need 3 things, not 2 things.
Yes, we need 3 things. I know it's the same technology, but you're in reverse. So
you're in reverse. So it's a little different. But it's 2020. So what does 2020 have? Well, everything has an AI in it. So what does this have? This has Microsoft's Sync AI.
Is that what they renamed Cortana?
It's not Cortana, but it's something else. So it does voice communications with the driver to help them be a safer driver. So I don't know if you ever were into car tech, but there's a Nissan car called the Pivo, and it's a car that has a little robot head that sits at the side of you, and it'll look at you with a camera and say, "Oh, you're tired? Here's a coffee shop. Oh, you're angry? I'm gonna say, hey, can you calm down? Let's pull the side of the road," type of thing.
It's like R2-D2 in your car.
So but when you think of that from a cost perspective of business, an unsafe driver is going to cost you money at the end of the day. So it's trying to calm you down.
Sure. So does it know when you're mad? When it's like, oh, I just dropped a hammer on my foot.
Yeah. So it's like watching your face, and if you're angry or something, like you're flipping off other drivers because you're in downtown, it'll kind of watch that thing and try to gently nudge you in the right way. Kind of a little creepy, right? But it also has a driver ID feature, so you can scan something, and this is your car. You're tied to it.
Okay.
And but they're also added a giant battery pack on the back. So if you want to, they show in the video,
Yeah, I saw
plug in
that.
power tools and stuff like that.
How many miles do you get if you run a steel pipe cutting saw?
Yeah, they showed that, and I kind of went, that thing's pulling a nice amount of juice. But apparently they claim 2.4 kilowatts of exportable power out of it. So
at the rate of 5 minutes for 10 miles.
Yeah, and it was kind of nice to see because it's something to see forward of electric vehicles coming in the commercial sense, which hasn't really happened. We've seen passenger ones, and they've talked about we can go 300, we can go 400, let's go like 1,000 miles is our next like big break thing. But to see them come into something that a company can use that's less impact on the environment and stuff like that.
I'm just shocked at the price, because that's like you said, that's I don't know how much like
the
vehicles.
The gas model is $35,000.
Okay, so it's definitely a premium,
Yeah.
but it's not like break the bank premium.
Yeah, it's not going to break your bank. And considering how I forget who came up with it, I think it was Consumer Reports or something, but electric vehicles cost less to maintain.
Sure.
So over time, you're already paying for it.
Yeah.
But it was just nice to see. And of course, also another 2020 thing, it has an app. So you can watch it. But the other thing I was thinking about was, I don't know if you follow any of like kind of the trends on Instagram, but a new thing is van life. You live on the van life. You just live in a van and everything's in a van. It's actually,
I live in a van down by the river.
But it's actually a really big thing for like tech startups, because people can't afford, or not startups, but big tech companies, because people who live in California and Sacramento and some of those big cities, they can't afford a house. So they have a van and they park it in Google's parking lot.
Are you lying to me? Is this real?
No, that's a real thing. That's a real thing to do. And then Google has showers, Google has cafeterias and all that sorts of stuff to stay there, because Google wants you to. If you work for Google, you live on the campus.
I have two feelings about that. One is like I'm stunned and also sad at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, we will pay you a massive salary. You still can't own a house.
Yeah,
right?
It's what was it called? It's called Silicon Valley poor, and it's like you can afford a house, but it has no furniture in it.
That's bananas. That's just bananas. But that's awesome. Like, what did Emily say about like Amazon has pre-ordered 27 billion of them? I think Amazon already has a deal with.
And yeah,
I can't remember what the
Mercedes is also coming out with one. There, if you follow that van life thing, the joke is that everyone has a Sprinter van, and that's because they're just the most popular Mercedes vans, and they're only like $40,000 compared to most things. But again, and I think Matt M. Williams is just completely right. It's directed at Amazon. It's directed at UPS. It's trying to get those people to buy in on it, kind of like the Tesla truck was trying to get Walmart in on it, stuff like that. Yeah. So.
That's fascinating. I'm never going to live in a van unless I have to. It's not my thing.
But
it's not my thing. I'm not going to live in a van.
It's good for the environment.
No, you still got to find a place to plug it in.
That's fair.
And then I live in a van down by the river. Oh gosh. All right. What do we got? Oh, last story.
More travel.
Okay. Last story. I thought this was hilarious. No, hilarious is not right. It's definitely interesting. So. Virgin, the company Virgin, Richard Branson's Virgin, they invested heavily in Hyperloop Industries or Technologies, which now becomes Virgin Hyperloop. They are making a Hyperloop. Brandon, what is a Hyperloop? Do you know?
It seems like they shoot you really fast through a tunnel.
Right.
There are multiple ways how to do it, but at the end of the day, you want to get point A to point B as fast as possible. Right.
So Hyperloop is a new form of transportation that was originally coined by Elon, believe it or not. Of basically a tube to shoot people far distances quickly, surpassing train travel. The tubes are vacuum pressurized, or that's the opposite of, they're a vacuum, and they're maglev basically bullets, right? Maglev's been around since the 70s. Anyway, Virgin Hyperloop is the first Hyperloop competing company to make their have a first test of humans, right? So these two people, this guy and this gal, his name is Josh. I'm going to get this wrong. I think it's Geigel. Josh Geigel. He's the chief technology officer, and Sarah Lucian, who's the director of passenger experience. I don't know what that means. They tested this thing out. We talked about that at the Virgin Hyperloop's testing proving grounds. It's a 500-meter long course, and that thing reached 100 miles an hour. It only reached 100 miles an hour because it's only 500 meters, right?
Yeah.
You got to speed up and slow down. And it's all maglev. What does that mean? Well, it means that it's magnet. It's levitating. Before this goes nuts here, I want to do that. So that was the capsule. The I lost my train of thought there. Their next plan for this, believe it or not, is to build a facility in West Virginia that is 6 miles long, and that loop people will be able to reach 600 miles an hour. 600 miles an hour. Hopefully it makes it.
That's some G-force, pushing you back.
Yeah, 100-mile-an-hour monorail. Can you imagine? Sit down, kids. So yeah, I mean, it's. I'm excited about this, but I will not be the first person to get into it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like space travel or like space tourism. I'll wait till I'm like 80 years old, where there's been like thousands and thousands of trips and the death toll is 0. Because all I see, like, bullets have been flying out of tubes for a long time successfully, but people in tubes sounds like a highly dangerous thing. I'm trying not to go
I mean, you hop on. Well, before COVID, you hopped on an airplane. That's a metal tube.
That's going 600 miles an hour.
Send it straight in the air. So
yeah, but yeah, that's true. And I mean, fair point. So the facility that they're building in West Virginia is going to cost them, I guess, $500 million. Or excuse me, $500 million. It's $500 million. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they're going to be shooting people at like 600 miles an hour. Shooting maybe not the right word. Floating people.
It's like those things they did
blasting people
in the salt flats, where they had like the people like on the rail and they would just like shoot them down as fast as possible.
Yeah, they just hold on to the steering wheel, don't move. That looked far more comfortable. I think I have another photo of it. So this is where they are in Nevada. That's where their current proving grounds is. And the whole idea behind the West Virginia facility is to actually kind of validate and prove it out. They in the video, which we saw just a second ago, there's lots of people being all serious here. They were really keen on telling everybody that this is a safety first company. Like it's all about safety. Elon's got his boring company, but they're not planning to shoot people down tubes. Elon wants to make Teslas drive underground.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, what about everybody else?
I guess.
I mean, let's see. Yeah. You saw that test that they did where they basically took a Model S and they just put like little like trucks on the wheels and just sent them bouncing down a set of pipes, which was less than ideal, right? But it's kind of fascinating stuff. Nobody died. Nobody got turned into a human slurry. But 100 miles an hour you wouldn't turn a slurry, but 600 miles you might. Anyway, so one other thing to note is that they were talking about how they expect success in this in the next 5 to 6 years, but we won't be seeing these be built probably for another decade.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with like high-speed rails. We just haven't seen that build up yet. But it's interesting, especially I was thinking like humans. It's really cool that we can send people, but I was thinking sending cargo.
And that's the other thing. That's a good point. You mentioned that. So they're fully planning on having this whole system be for cargo and for people, right? Yeah. So you won't have to wait as long to get your products if it's being sent from, I don't know, someplace far away, as long as there's a Hyperloop. I almost think you should have a separate line just for cargo, and that should just be constant. But
yeah, I mean, it's something that I could see, like, you do it under the ocean, but then,
sure.
Is that cost less than just sending a ship? Like, at the end of the day.
The thing is, like, a lot of people think that, like, trucks, like, over-the-road trucks, like semis, are, like, inefficient. And they are in a way, but they're also very efficient in moving a lot of heavy stuff. Like, the economies of scale really pay out. That's why we use semis, is because they can haul a lot of crap. Like, you've been on the interstates in America, you'll see like 2 and 3 long of trailers, right? Like super long loads, because that thing can pull that much. That makes the price of that cargo super, super cheap, right? So this is going to have to be much, much, much cheaper than that to make it basically cost effective. But then again, if you want your new iPhone shot at you through a tube.
Yeah, it was like, send all the hazardous cargo at 600 miles per hour, because that's how that should work, right?
Peter walks like, Nvidia should send 30 series cards via Hyperloop. And yeah, right, exactly.
I'm not sure it would arrive then still.
Yeah, well, I mean, because, it'll take them 10 years to build the Hyperloop, so by the time...
You can get that, and then you can get Cyberpunk 2077.
They'll show up at the same time.
At the same time through the Hyperloop.
Exactly. That is absolutely true. Well, Brandon, I believe that is the end of the show, and time for you to talk about Discord.
So we have a Discord. We talk on there all the time. Talk about tech. Talk about Home Lab. Whatever you're interested, come in, join our community. We got a ton of people in there every day, pretty much.
It's growing, and we appreciate having everybody. We got people in the chat who are on that Discord, and we're building these relationships. That I really, guys, I get such a kick out of like connecting with people over shared interests. Right? That's what this is all about for us. So yeah, continue, Brandon. Sorry.
That's for Discord. What
please join.
Yeah, please join.
Join that Discord. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's freeze and beer, right? Next.
We got a Patreon. If you'd like to support us in other ways outside of YouTube, please check it out. We got some shout outs to do for Jamie and Mitch.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you both for our Patreon supporters there.
Yep.
And then we got some merch. We're both wearing actually new merch we just got. Really comfortable.
It's a little warm under these lights. I'm not gonna lie.
A little warm right now, but definitely check it out.
Appreciate it.
And then you're watching us on YouTube, so definitely check out our other videos. Got a new video coming out next week after that.
Hopefully we got a video coming out on Saturday for sure. We're trying to make a weekly release. I know that's what I said. That's where John's at right now.
That's true. Yeah,
toiling away.
Hard away.
He's turning that Adobe Premiere crank. Just like he's all gaunt and he's like he's got like a rope around him and he's being walked in a circle like a Conan the Barbarian, like the original Conan the Barbarian sort of thing. Like whatever. He's a slave to the Premiere.
So check those out. Expect to come in pretty soon.
Yep. And thank you very much. It's good to have you guys. We'll be back next week. Maybe with John. Maybe with Brandon. We'll see.
We'll see. Thank you.
See you guys later. Thanks for watching.